5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, what's up? I am Chase Keller, also known as CK Cards. Hope you guys are doing okay. Today we got episode 3 of the CKTF Chase Keller Talks Football, CK Talks Football podcast for you guys. Once again, thank you guys for the support. I got Andrew here once again. He's been a great guest. He's back again. 3 episodes in a row. I was going to try to record 2 a week, but never ended up happening. So, he's going to try to be here as much as possible on the weekends. That's how this will work for now on. Anyways, today we have a big episode. Super Bowl Sunday is, as of us recording, it's tomorrow when it's uploaded. Super Bowl Sunday's today. We need to preview it, but we're going to run this episode a bit differently. We're going to do the same in the pilot as when we talked about the matchups. We talked about the big key points. And then we're going to end with our predictions. But there's not going to be a bonus topic today. Instead, we're going to preview the next episodes of the podcast. They're going to be pretty fun episodes to record. Very good episodes as well. And then we're going to go to the Q&A. We got 5 questions today. Actually, I got 9 questions from everyone, but I ran it down to my 5 favorites. I think 9's a bit too much to answer. And as I was talking about, we're recording this the day before Super Bowl Sunday. This is being recorded. It is currently 7 o'clock, basically 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Saturday. This is being uploaded at 9 a.m. Central Time on Sunday. And the reason I'm saying this is because we recorded the last week's episode before the Stafford trade, and the Stafford trade happened before it was uploaded, so that was just awkward. So just so you guys know, this is being recorded 14 hours before the upload. So other than that, that's all I got to say for the intro. We're going to get into this video. You ready, Andrew?
Yep, let's get going.
Alright. So if I'm being honest, I wasn't expecting this to be our Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I did predict the Chiefs at the beginning of the Super Bowl, but every single one of my NFC Super Bowl winners or Super Bowl predictors would end up winning as well. My luck continued. As I had mentioned in the last episode, I had Seahawks in the wild card. They lost that round. I had Saints in the divisional. They lost that round. I had the Packers in the conference. They lost that round. You guys will see where I'm going with in this one. But I did in order expect the Seahawks, Packers, Saints, and then the Bucks. The reason I had the Packers over the Saints is because the Rams run defense, or the Rams run game versus the Packers run defense. I thought it was going to be too much. It wasn't, but anyways, you seemingly have in this Super Bowl the baby goat versus the goat. You have the baby goat in Mahomes. You have the goat in Brady, and we also see the 2 best passing offenses in 2020 statistically facing off. The Chiefs had the most passing yards per game, and I'm pretty sure the Bucks had the second most passing yards per game. So we saw this matchup in Week 12. Are you excited to watch this matchup unfold once again?
For sure. I mean, 2 best offenses, or probably not 2 best offenses, but 2 best passing offenses in the league. The greatest player of all time, Patrick Mahomes, who many think will become the greatest player of all time. If this is the final matchup between these 2 quarterbacks, I hope it's going to be a great one, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I'm also very excited to watch this matchup, and knowing how this matchup came off last time, Hill gave us possibly the most entertaining performance of 2020 and the best performance by a wide receiver in 2020. So the Bucks still managed to keep it close. Yes, I know. Fourth quarter, it was what was it? It was 27-10 going into the fourth, but the Bucks almost caught back up. They came really close, but Hill is going to be hard to cover, but we'll talk about that later. We are also going to go with the spread here. We didn't do this for the conference games, but we're going to do it for the Super Bowl. The spread is Chiefs by 3.5. So Andrew, are you taking this? Are you taking the spread, or are you taking the money line?
I'm taking the Chiefs here by 3.5. I think they're probably going to win this one by I'd say about 4 or 5. I think it's gonna be a super close game. I like the Chiefs in this matchup though, so I'm taking them.
Okay. We'll extend more on this. Obviously, Andrew just said the Chiefs are gonna win. I think the Bucks are gonna win. I'm a complete opposite. Just it's just I can't bet against Brady in the Super Bowl, But I'm taking the Bucks money line. If not, I think the Chiefs only win by like 3 again if they do win. But those are our predictions. But we'll get more in depth into those at the end of this at the end of the podcast before the Q&A, before the preview of the next episode. But now we're going to get into each team specifically. Um, Got to talk about the Bucks quarterback matchups getting harder. Taylor Heineke was first, then Drew Brees was second, and then Aaron Rodgers was third. Debatably, when it comes to talent, this is the hardest quarterback matchup for the Bucks in the playoffs. We
Hmm.
if you want to take this into like video game standards, this is like the final boss for the Buccaneers here. So, this is going to be a bit of a two-part question. Do you think Mahomes is the hardest matchup the Bucks have yet, or do you think Rodgers was the hardest?
I'd say Mahomes is the hardest matchup they've had so far, simply because Aaron Rodgers just it was a conference championship game. You know how he plays in the conference championship. I do think Mahomes is the better quarterback than Rodgers. Obviously, Rodgers was better this season, but I think overall talent wise and who's better coming into the future as in like currently right now, I think Mahomes is the better quarterback. And you're facing him in the Super Bowl. He's proven that he's the best quarterback in the NFL. And yeah, I think this is definitely the Bucks' toughest challenge so far in the postseason.
I also believe he's the toughest challenge, and this is for two reasons. Simply for the talent, but also just because of how good Mahomes played against Tampa in the regular season. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Tampa knew how to maintain and shut down Rodgers in both games. Um, but they didn't have an answer for Mahomes. So, yeah, I think this is the hardest matchup for Mahomes. But the second part of this question, do we think Mahomes repeats the same success he had in Week 12?
No, I definitely don't think so. Even though I'm choosing the Chiefs here, the success he had in Week 12 simply is not going to happen again, unless the Buccaneers secondary turns into burnt toast again. But there's no way he does what he did, especially in the first quarter. Him and Tyreek Hill went absolutely off in that game. I don't think there's any chance that happens again, but he's definitely going to have a great game. We know Mahomes is going to show up for the Super Bowl, so I wouldn't say he's going to have that kind of performance, but he'll definitely be great.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to top almost nearly 500 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. I
Yeah.
also we pretty much have the same answers so far. I don't think he does as well. When it comes to the Buccaneers secondary, they've been playing outstanding in the playoffs. I believe they will perform well against Mahomes, but I don't think Mahomes gets like shut down or maintained. I still think he does very well. It's just I don't think he's going to have that same performance, just like you said. Obviously, if you think the Chiefs are going to win, unless you think it's going to be a defensive battle, you think Mahomes is going to play well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it will be a little bit more defensive than some people are saying. Some people are saying this is going to be an offensive shootout, like 30, 40 points each. But I think it'll be a little bit more defensive than that. But yeah, Mahomes is going to have a good game. Chiefs will probably score like 27 or so.
Yeah, I also think this is going to be more defensive. Like obviously we saw the 27-24 and most of that was off of Tyreek Hill's success in that game. Just imagine if Tyreek Hill doesn't repeat that success, imagine how much more defensive this game is going to get. But
Hmm.
other than that, I do agree with you there. I think this will be more defensive than everybody assumes it will be, and this is just going to be a great game. And Mahomes is going to play well. Obviously, I think he might throw a pick. Um, I don't think he will, but we'll get to that later. But we'll see when it gets to that point. We got to get into one of the hotter topics coming in. The Buccaneers pass rush against Kansas City's offensive line. Now, a lot of people are going to be paying attention to this as the Super Bowl comes closer, but you have the starting two tackles for the Chiefs, Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, are both out for this game. While you have in last round, Shaq Barrett and JPP had amazing games against the Packers, were missing out on Bakhtiari obviously, but I think their starting right tackle was still playing. I'm pretty sure. So it's just if you take a look at that. It's just you might see the Bucks pass rush repeat their performance. Um, if we saw imagine if that deadliness continues into Kansas City's game. Just imagine you could see like both of them getting 3 sacks at least, you know. But overall, how do we see this pass rush fare um against Kansas City?
Yeah, and we'll get more into the keys to the game later, but I think that this is definitely one of the most important matchups. Kansas City protect Mahomes here. It's not going to be possible to completely keep him clean today, but I think if they can hold the Tampa Bay Bucks pass rush to maybe even just those two guys, just to like 2 sacks or something like that, which sounds like it's still a decent amount of pressure on him. But I think if they can even hold Tampa Bay to 2 sacks, I think that's a win for the Kansas City Chiefs because this is easily the biggest advantage that the Buccaneers have in this matchup. It's their amazing pass rush against the injured offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
So I think the Chiefs are able to do a decent job, but yeah, the Buccaneers are going to win this matchup and probably get maybe 3 or 4 sacks against Mahomes.
that is yeah. Um, I think this pass rush does fare amazingly once again. This is going to be the X factor for the Buccaneers. You know, they got to take advantage of the 2 backups. You got to run the show here. When you have all this hype going into this game, you have to run the show. I could see this duo getting north of 4 sacks. The team could overall be getting north of 6. You know, you have guys like Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea who this who um if Kansas City does decide to go somewhat double on Shaq Barrett and JPP, those two can clean it up, and those two could also be pressuring Mahomes. Um,
For sure.
Now Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL against pressure, so the numbers aren't going to show it, but if you the film might show that this pass rush is going to be very deadly because obviously Mahomes has one of the I think I looked this up. He has the best passer rating and the best QB rating against pressure when he has to scramble and when he has to
Really?
or not when he has to scramble when he has to get out the pocket. Against pressure, he is the best QBR. While Brady has one of the worst, but that doesn't really matter right now. But when Mahomes is the best quarterback against the pressure, um, the stats aren't going to show it, but the film will. Um, Now, another very, very hot topic about the Super Bowl. This is the first ever team to experience home field advantage in the
Yep.
Super Bowl. Tampa Bay playing in Tampa Bay. I love that so much. We almost saw this a couple of years ago in Minnesota. I was very hyped to see that. They didn't end up making it. Obviously, the Eagles absolutely blew them out the water. Um, to make it to
Yeah.
the Super Bowl, they would end up winning the Super Bowl. We all know how that went against Brady, but um, I'm very very happy to finally see a team play at their home in the Super Bowl, including when it's a matchup like this. You know, you have Mahomes and the Chiefs who have the overall better team, but you also have the one of the best, if not the best, playoff quarterback ever at
Yep.
home in the Super Bowl. So, um, Brady, this is the Super Bowl is like basically Brady's speciality, unless you are Eli Manning or Nick Foles. So, Brady at home in the Super Bowl. How deadly can this combo get? Or in simpler words, how will Brady play?
I mean, yeah, I love this as well for the team to finally get home field advantage in the Super Bowl. It sucks that it has to be in 2020, 2021, where there's not going to be full capacity, so they can't take full advantage of it. But I definitely think it'll definitely play a role in the Super Bowl. I think that if the crowd is behind Tampa Bay and they can hype up Tampa Bay's defense, they can make a good impact against Mahomes. But as for Brady, I think he's going to show out in this game. I think he needs to show out in this game if he wants to win it. Obviously, I'm not predicting him to win the game, but I think Brady's definitely going to have a solid game. I think in the Super Bowl at home, he knows how important this game is, and he'll be decent. I don't think he'll outplay Mahomes though, despite the home field advantage that he has in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Also, it's going to be rainy as well. I'm pretty sure. So
But
it's gonna be cool to see another inclement weather Super Bowl. Um, Technical difficulty again. I'll just redo my on my part, but I think Brady plays good, but not particularly great. You know, the Chiefs secondary has been outstanding, just like the Bucks secondary has been in this postseason. Brady could definitely struggle. Outside of that, though, It may sound deadly when you hear Brady at home in the Super Bowl, but it shouldn't really scare anyone. When it, as you were saying, when it comes to a year like 2020, um, they're not going to have complete home field advantage because they're only going to have 22,000 fans there. So it's yeah, and plus think of this: a lot of them aren't all, maybe not all of them are going to be Tampa Bay fans, and most of them are going to be people who just want to go see the Super Bowl. So
Yep.
it's not full home field advantage, but good. That's still great to see a quarterback like Brady getting home field advantage in the Super Bowl. Anyways, on to Tampa Bay's running game. In a different format here. So Tampa had one of the worst rushing offenses in the league, surprisingly, in the regular season. When you take a look at Rojo and Fournette, they had one of the worst rushing offenses. That's just weird to think about. Two not great, but two starting running backs, and they're still one of the worst. That's just how you know Arians' play calling is just interesting. But
Hmm.
the postseason so far has been lights out for these running backs. Leonard Fournette has been leading the pack because of Rojo's injuries. But and we know Rojo can have his games. He had 62 or 63 rushing yards against New Orleans. Um, this run game is great, but is it great enough? We have one team ever to ever average under 95 rushing yards a game and win the Super Bowl, and that was the 2011 Giants who were against Brady. So, um, does this statistic really mean anything to us right now?
I don't think it does mean anything actually. We know Bruce Arians. He loves to air it out. So simply, I think the reason that they only averaged under 95 yards. I don't know exactly what it was, but they averaged under 95 yards. I think that was mostly just because they chose to pass the ball. They could have ran it, and we see that now in the postseason. If they want to run the ball, they have the ability to do that with Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. So I don't think that this stat means too much. And I think if there is another team that could pull off the feat of winning the Super Bowl with that little rushing yards, I do think it would be the Buccaneers this season because they have Tom Brady and they have that great defense. But yeah, they've shown they can run the ball, so I don't think the stat actually really matters too much against them in this particular instance.
Dude, we have super similar answers so far. I also said this stat doesn't mean anything, specifically because of how good this rushing offense has been in the postseason. Like in the regular season, we have statistics coming in here. Um, the Buccaneers averaged 94.9 yards a game. In the postseason, they've averaged 115. We talked about the Giants being the only team to win the Super Bowl and with under 95, and they had 89.2 yards a game in
Wow.
2011, but they averaged 116.5 in the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, Antonio Brown has not been ruled into the game yet. He's still questionable, so we're going to talk about a cool topic here, a potential Scotty Miller breakout game. I was just thinking about this when I was writing all these topics we're going to be talking about. I don't know. I Currently Antonio Brown's still questionable. Last week we saw Miller get two catches for 36 yards and that huge touchdown on Kevin King. Um, and Brown is out for that game. When you look at the Chiefs, their last two games where they've played specific speedy receivers, they've struggled. Curtis Samuel, 9 catches, 105 yards, one touchdown. Damier Byrd, 5 receptions, 80 yards. But yeah, at the beginning of the year, they played Marquise Brown, held him to 2 catches for 16 yards, and I forgot they played one more and only let him get one catch. So, um, if Antonio Brown is out, could this be a possible breakout game for Scotty Miller?
Well, I don't know if I'd go as far as a breakout game, but I do think he can make some big plays. He's been shown to be a great deep threat, especially in the postseason. I've seen him specifically go on like these deep passing routes. I want to say against the Packers in the NFC Championship, he had that touchdown. Was that Scotty Miller? I
That
think it
was
was.
the huge
Okay.
the huge touchdown at the end of the half with Scotty Miller.
Yeah, so I think he can definitely have a couple of huge catches. I don't think he's going to have a breakout like 10 catch performance, but my prediction he'll probably have about 3 catches, and he'll get a decent amount of yards on those catches, probably around 60 yards, and have maybe one huge play, possibly a touchdown. I don't know. I'm not predicting a breakout, but he'll be solid today. or
I
tomorrow.
and with me, I had to say this was a bold prediction. I think he will technically break out. We did see sparks of Miller like being a good receiver before the Bucks signed Brown, and as I said before, I don't know if you remember me saying this, but I thought that before the trade deadline, maybe my own Broncos here could trade for Scotty Miller, but they didn't end up doing it. Miller fell down the depth chart, and I think he's one. I think he might be the best wide receiver four in the NFL. Just no, he's got like start. He's got definitely has starting talent, but he's the wide receiver four. I don't understand what that was. Why the Bucks didn't trade him, but I guess he is a good receiver. But I can tell if Brown is out, I could see Scotty Miller getting 80 plus yards, maybe a touchdown as well. A couple big plays, honestly, to me. But I could see him getting some like four catches, like 90 yards and a touchdown. Like that's a good game. So
I think
uh,
it's I think it's going to be all about the matchup. I mean, we know Bruce Arians and Tom Brady love to air it out. So if they see a mismatch problem, they might go for a 50-yard touchdown. I mean, that could definitely happen. I could definitely see him breaking out. I'm not going to predict it, but it's definitely possible.
yeah. Anyways, on to the Chiefs. We got we got to talk about Tyreek Hill's game, Week 12. 13 receptions, 269 receiving yards, three receiving touchdowns. He just went absolutely off. Um, yeah, yeah, it's rough for me more than it's rough for you. But I don't know who was playing Tyreek Hill that week in our
I have,
fantasy league. Was it you?
I don't really remember.
Well,
It
I
might,
know for sure I didn't play Hill that. Actually, I did play Hill in a league that week that I was projected to win by like 20 plus, and I lost because of Tyreek Hill.
I remember that, but I mean, that's crazy. Crazy
Yeah,
performance.
it was insane. But you got, as I said earlier, the Bucks still kept it close in the end. But Hill's back in Tampa, and I assume he is ready for yet another huge game. This is what the third, fourth question we've asked already relating to this. How will Tyreek Hill play?
Well, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things of this game as well. We talked about the pass rush earlier, but if Tyreek Hill can do what he did, especially in the first quarter of that game, I want to say he had like 200 yards at least at the end of the first quarter. They were able to contain him for the rest of it. But I mean, if he can do that, and again, I mean, that's just crazy. Chiefs are definitely going to win the game if they do that. I don't think he'll have that great of a performance though. I think the Buccaneers know that Tyreek Hill is their biggest mismatch, and they need to cover him well. They'll probably put their deep safety on him. They got to, for sure, put at least one or two, or probably three people on him a lot of the time. The problem is with this offense, they have so many weapons, you can't really put that many people on one person. But if they can take away the deep ball, I definitely think that's a huge key factor for Tampa Bay. So I'm going to predict that Tyreek Hill has 6 catches for about 100 yards in this game.
I could see the same there. I think the Bucks do find a way to slow down Hill when it relates to the last game, but Hill does still play very well. Um, I've already talked. I've talked. This is my third X factor for the Bucks. The Bucks have so much X factors in this game. It's crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a Bucks X factor is being able to cover Hill. If they can cover Hill, they might win this game. As I can say for the rest, if Scotty Miller plays well, they might win this game. If the edge rush does very well, they might win this game. There's just so much X factors. It's crazy. But and you also have to keep in mind Mahomes threw over half of his yards that game to Hill. So if Hill does turn to somewhere in like the 100-yard range, Mahomes will not repeat that performance, and the Bucks could win. That's just how I feel about it. But we've all seen how Mahomes can like we've seen Hill have games this year, but Mahomes has still played very well. Anyways, on to the Chiefs' big plays. This is going to be a bit of a not a play on words, but just this is going to be a bit of confusing at first. Okay. Big time players make big time plays, and that's exactly what guys like Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman did against the Bills. I'm
Yeah.
not even discussing Travis Kelsey because what I mean by big time plays is huge yardage plays. So Hill and Hardman, we saw them both have 60 plus. What? No, 50. I think it was 50 plus yards because I think Hardman's run was like something like 50 something yards, and Hills
Yeah,
was 60 plus, I'm pretty sure. But KC may be the team with the most big plays in the league. So do they continue to make these big plays against Tampa?
they have to. I mean, they've been doing it all season. They'll get at least one or two big plays against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers need to limit the big plays. Simply stated, that's definitely going to be one of the biggest X factors of this game. But I think they definitely continue their success despite how good this Buccaneers secondary has played. So I think Tyreek Hill and Miko Hardman at least, I'd say they each have one huge play and maybe one more huge play by either one of them two or someone else like Sammy Watkins or Robinson.
Yeah. Obviously big plays always happen in games.
Mm-hmm.
Today I think they come from Hill. Hill can go off yet again, and realistically, again he can average 20 plus yards a reception. He's done it so much lately. I think he is going to do it again, but I don't know if he'll get as much receptions as he did from week 12. Um, This is another cool topic I had to bring up. The Chiefs defensive coordinator. Do you recognize the names? I don't even know how to pronounce it. Steve Spagnuolo. Spagnolo.
Yep.
Yeah, the Chiefs defensive coordinator. I don't remember. I don't know if that's how you say his last name, but I literally looked it up earlier, but that was like 6 hours ago, so I don't know. But he was the same defensive coordinator who was the Giants defensive coordinator in 2007 when they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So obviously, Steve has some experience against Brady in the Super Bowl. So is the fact that's the Chiefs defensive coordinator, is that very significant in the Super Bowl?
100%. Uh, I mean, obviously the MVP of the Super Bowl goes to a player, but you could argue Steve Spagnuolo was the MVP of that Super Bowl because they held one of the greatest offenses ever to I think what 14
It was
points in that game,
14. It was 14 points, 17 to 14.
and they were just dialing up pressure against also one of the greatest offensive lines of all time, and they were able to create a bunch of pressure with Michael Strahan and all the guys they had back then. So that's that. I think that is a huge part of this game. They definitely don't have the players they had back in the 2007 Giants team, but I do think that Steve Spagnuolo might have Brady's number here, and if he can get a couple sacks, especially with how Chris Jones has been playing, I think that could be a huge portion of this game. So yeah, I'd say it's a big advantage for the Chiefs.
I would say it's an advantage for the Chiefs. I wouldn't say it's too big though. Will it change the outcome of this game? Not particularly, but will this change the way the Chiefs do enter this game? Probably. You obviously have Andy Reid, who last time they played Brady in the playoffs, they lost. They lost in the conference championship. That's when the Patriots would move on to play the Rams in the Super Bowl, and we all know how bad that Super Bowl was. But I think this does have a good this advantage. It is an advantage for the Chiefs, but I don't think it's too big. I don't think it will change the outcome of this game a ton, you know. But we're flying through the Chiefs right now. This is definitely taking a lot less time than it was with the Bucks, but we got to move on to the coaching here for the Chiefs. Two-time Super Bowl winner, Andy the Goat Reid. But I don't know if he's the GOAT coach, but he is a great coach. But a 2020 Coach of the Year candidate. Um, he has been outstanding in the postseason, and he is no stranger to the Super Bowl. This will be his fifth Super Bowl appearance. I think I told you sixth earlier, but this is his fifth. Um,
Okay.
Third is the head coach. He is so far through four Super Bowls. He has 2 wins, 2 losses. He won as the Packers tight end coach, and obviously he won last year. He is 1-1 as the head coach. He lost the 2004 Super Bowl with the Eagles, and then he won with the Chiefs, as I just said. And then when it comes to Arians, this is his fourth Super Bowl, which isn't far off of Reid, but this is his
Mm-hmm.
first as the head coach. He made 3 Super Bowls as an assistant with the Steelers. Um, he is 2-1 in the Super Bowl, which is better than Reid. But again, he was the assistant. He won as the wide receiver coach for the Steelers, and then he also won as their offensive coordinator. But by this, we can tell Reed is the better resume in the Super Bowl. So, is Reed a deciding factor, or does Arians match up well against Reed?
I wouldn't say this is a big advantage for really either team. I think these are two of the best coaches in the NFL, probably top five each. As a Cardinals fan, I really hope that Arians uh, has a great coaching performance, I guess. But I wouldn't say this is a huge advantage, mostly because both of them have a bunch of experience. They've both been in the NFL for probably 50 years at least. I don't know, something
50.
around there. Yeah, probably around there. They've both been to the Super Bowl many times, so I don't think this is a huge advantage either direction for the coaching, I'd say.
I would say it's more of an advantage for the Chiefs than it is for the Bucks, but I wouldn't say it's huge. Like, okay, I think Reed's coaching abilities do very well exceed Arians, but when it
Yeah.
I'd still think that this isn't the biggest advantage. Like it's more of an advantage for the Chiefs than it is for the Bucks, but I still think it doesn't really affect too much. Like you said, like
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't be a huge factor because Arians might match up well against Reed, and Reed might match up well against Arians. But I think Reed is, or I'll reword that. The Chiefs have the better advantage, but it's not by that much. Um. Anyways, that was the Chiefs section. I'm pretty sure the Bucks took like nearly 20 minutes, and the Chiefs just took their like 10. So, um, we did have more topics to talk about for the Bucks, but that was because Antonio Brown hasn't been ruled out or ruled in yet. So, we're gonna move on to what does each team need to win. I'll start with the Chiefs here. I think the Chiefs, what they need to do to win is eliminate the deep ball. Don't do what the Packers did. We saw how much deep balls were completed in that game. Um, that deep ball was outstanding for the Bucks with the Packers. So if the Chiefs can eliminate that deep ball and play two safeties deep, that'll be great. I think a 5 DB set would work well because when it comes to Matthew, he's more of like a hybrid safety.
Yeah, he like plays
While
in this.
Sorensen, yes, Sorensen is a good safety, but I would think they would need another safety back there to help out as well. So that's why I say 5 DBs might work out. So that's what I think for the Chiefs. What do you think the Chiefs need to do to win this game?
I think there's one thing that if the Chiefs can do this, they will win the Super Bowl, and that is protect Mahomes. We've stated this earlier. The Buccaneers' biggest advantage in this game is their pass rush against the Chiefs' offensive line. If they can protect Mahomes, keep the Buccaneers to 2 sacks, 3 sacks, I think that's a win, and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I think it's as simple as that. The Chiefs' offensive line, it's solid, but especially losing those two tackles against this Buccaneers pass rush. I mean, if they let the Buccaneers pass rush break loose and get 5+ sacks, I feel like the Buccaneers are going to win this game. So if the Chiefs want to win, they got to protect Mahomes. Give Mahomes time. Don't let Mahomes make any big mistakes that could cost you the game. Because if you give him the time, he won't make the mistakes. And I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl if they can do that.
And we will get to the next thing we're going to talk about is the biggest X factor. Um, you have something different though because I kind of took yours. But anyways, back to who will win. What does each team need to do to win this game? The Buccaneers. I think we said the same thing here, or you were talking about the blocking for the Chiefs, and I have to talk about for the Bucks. Get to the quarterback on the edge. Take advantage of the two backup tackles. Do exactly what you did against the Packers. If you do exactly what you did against the Packers, you are winning this game. I don't care. I know Mahomes is great against pressure, but if you can get to the quarterback as much as you did against the Packers, you're gonna win this game. What do you think for the Bucks?
I said for the Buccaneers, I think it said they got to eliminate the deep ball, which is kind of what you said for the Chiefs. I do think that Patrick Mahomes in this offense, it's extremely explosive offense. If they let the Chiefs get a bunch of 50-yard touchdowns, they're not going to win this game. So if the Buccaneers play like they did in the first quarter against the Chiefs the last time they met, where they were just letting Mahomes and Tyreek Hill just break free, get 50-yard gains like it's nothing, then they're going to lose. So I do think the Buccaneers, if they want to win this game, they got to eliminate the deep ball. Antoine Winfield, that great secondary, that has been great, but it's also been very inconsistent. So that inconsistency cannot show, especially in a big game like this. they got to protect the deep ball and limit Tyreek Hill.
We were talking about how Antonio Brown is questionable. So is Antoine Winfield. Let's hope he plays. I would love to see him play in his rookie year in the Super Bowl. Howie's just played so well in his rookie season. It's just I would love to see him play in the Super Bowl. He might be if it weren't for I don't even know if you would say Chase Young is the defensive player of the year. If it weren't for Chase Young, Antoine Winfield would win defensive player of the year in my books. And in
Yeah.
my opinion, Antoine Winfield still does win defensive player of the year, but I still think Chase Young will win. But I think in my books, I think it's Antoine Winfield. But anyways, we're on to the biggest X factors in this game. Once again, I'm gonna start with the Chiefs here. The Chiefs' biggest X factor in this game to me is Tyreek Hill. When you have that huge game you had in Week 12 against the Bucks in Tampa, if you can repeat that performance, the Chiefs are gonna win this game. Um, it's just like you can if there's no possible way a man can have 13 receptions for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns and lose. So if he can have anywhere near like 170 yards, 100, maybe even 150, I would say that's a 100% chance of winning that game. What do you think for the Chiefs? What is their biggest X factor?
So earlier I was talking about their offensive line, so I'm going to go with a different one this time. I'm going to say it's their pass rush. I think the Chiefs' pass rush could definitely affect this game because we talked about earlier how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We talked about how Tom Brady was one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure. That's been a thing throughout his entire career. That's the reason the Giants won those two Super Bowls against Tom Brady is they forced pressure. So we talked about Steve Spagnuolo as the Chiefs' defensive coordinator. If the Chiefs are able to get 5 sacks against Tom Brady against that great Bucks offensive line, I don't see it happening. But if they're able to do that, they're winning this game. I think it's as simple as that, as we said with the Chiefs' offensive line. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs' defensive line, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, they got to force some pressure. They cannot let Tom Brady have all day back there. Otherwise, they might lose.
Yeah, that is true. The both of those Giants Super Bowls, even though just the one that he was the defensive coordinator for, forced a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, Brady was young. Well, Brady was younger at that time. I don't think Brady was in his prime yet at that time either. So it's just you see how he did in the 2010s decade. I don't think it can like really match up against how he did in the 2000s. But that's why I say that. But yeah, obviously Brady was good, but I do sort of I can see why you say the pass rush is the X factor. I don't think it is, but I can see why you believe it is. And I
Mm-hmm.
can and I can and I can just see why people would say it's the pass rush. Onto the
Yep.
Bucks though. This is where I stole your idea because I kind of brought up the question, so you had to say something different. You can obviously say the same thing, but you want to say something different, so I'll let you do that. But I just have to say the edge rushers again. I brought them up so much in this game. I said earlier this is their X factor. Um, if they can do it, they again simply. I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet. Do what you did against the Packers. Win the game. There you go. What is your Bucks X factor?
Well, you kind of stole mine there, so I'm going to take the Buccaneers secondary. I think you got to. I kind of talked about this earlier, but they got to eliminate the deep ball. Uh, Limit Tyreek Hill. Do not let him get over. Well, definitely don't let him do what he did against you last time. Probably don't let him get 100 yards. You do that, you can definitely win the game. You can't get beat by Travis Kelsey like so many teams have. I don't think they will because they have some great linebackers and safeties, but they got to limit Travis Kelsey. They got to eliminate Tyreek Hill from this game, and if they can, that's a huge X factor, and they can win the game.
Yeah, yep. The secondary is huge. Again, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I did bring it up earlier. Limit Tyreek Hill, you might win. It's literally like limit Tyreek Hill to like 50 yards, win. Let Tyreek Hill go for like 150 and lose. So it's just obviously you could easily go in between there, but yeah, that secondary is also going to be very huge in this game. So now we did say who we think would win earlier. I'm gonna let Andrew go first here. Overall, when you're thinking of the game, why do you think the Chiefs are going to win? What will they do to win this game?
My main reason for the Chiefs winning this game is what they did against the Buffalo Bills. People thought the Bills had a chance in that game. They stood no chance. They were absolutely dominated in every way, shape, and form. The Chiefs proved they were the best team in the league, and that's why they're going to win this game. I think the Buccaneers are definitely a solid squad. They have some talented players, but Patrick Mahomes is just too good. He's going to show up in the Super Bowl once again. So I think their defense is very underrated as well. It's held opponents to 20 or under in a majority of their games. So I think their great passing game, Patrick Mahomes, underrated defense. I think they're able to score probably 27 points and win this game by 4. So 27-23 is my final prediction.
I am one of the victims, man. Thanks for calling me out there on saying the Bills had a chance. I thought the Bills were gonna win, and they obviously got destroyed. But I could, I do understand that. I do think the Bucks are gonna win, and that's personally to me is what I literally have said 3 times in this fucking episode. That edge rush is outstanding against 2 backup tackles. I don't even know who's going to start in place of Fisher. I know Mike Remmers is starting. I know he's played a good season in place of Mitchell Schwartz, but is he really good enough for that Is he really good enough for that pass rush? I don't know. But that's why I think when I look into the Super Bowl, like when I'm thinking about when will the Bucks win and how will the Bucks win, I think it's going to be that pass rush is simply what's going to take down that Chiefs team. If it doesn't show in the stat sheet, as I said, it's going to show on film. So I don't really know about a score prediction though. I haven't really thought about it, but I do think this is going to be a good defensive battle. I'm going to say 24-21 Buccaneers win.
All right.
So that's the Super Bowl right there. We do have our Q&A. I absolutely love doing this. We started off with 2 questions in episode 1. That episode blew up, so people thought they would bandwagon us. Thank you guys so much. But we went from 2 questions to 5 questions to 9 questions. So we're only going to do 5 questions though. I think 9 questions is too time consuming, and we're going to stay on top of the Super Bowl to start this off. Who's going to be throwing more picks? I believe it's going to be Brady, but he's only going to throw 1. I don't think Mahomes throws any, but I do think Brady ends up throwing an interception just because he threw 3 against Green Bay. I think he's going to end up throwing 1 against Kansas City. Now, Mahomes, I don't think he's going to throw a single pick. He has gotten lucky with the picks this year, that's for sure. But
For sure.
I don't think he throws any picks in this game. What do you think?
I actually think it might be a tie. I think it might be 1 for each quarterback. But I think for the sake of the question, I'm going to say it's 2 picks for Brady, 1 pick for Mahomes. I think the Buccaneers are able to get their pass rush going and I think bait him into maybe 1 interception. He has shown signs of being able to make some bad throws under pressure, even though he's probably one of the best quarterbacks against pressure.
Well,
So,
he is technically statistically the best quarterback under pressure. So
yeah, but I think if the Buccaneers are able to get, I think they're probably able to get 1 pick just because of that great pass rush. They might be able to get something against him with Winfield and that great secondary. And then as for Brady, like you said, against the Packers in the NFC Championship, he had 3. So that's why I definitely think he's going to have at least 1 in this game, maybe 2. And the Chiefs have a solid secondary as well with Tyrann Matthew. So yeah, I think it'll be probably 2-1 for interceptions for Brady or 1-1 tie.
okay, that's the first question. The second question, the other Super Bowl one that we did receive, Super Bowl predictions for the 2021 season. We did discuss this before we started recording, so we do know each other's predictions here. Personally, for me, I believe that in the AFC, it's going to be the Bills that come top dog because I think Allen's going to continue to progress. He's going to play well next year. While at the same time, I don't think the Chiefs are going to run 3 in a row. That debatably that division gets harder next year for the Chiefs. Next year, you do have a lot of returning players for the Broncos. You have the Chargers, who have shown signs of being good, including when Herbert was just in his rookie year last year.
For
Um,
sure, yeah.
and then the Raiders are just the Raiders, you know. They're basically a boom or bust team, and we saw that in 2020. But I think the Bills in the AFC make it. In the NFC, I'm gonna have to go with the Seahawks because we saw how good Wilson was in the beginning of the year last year. Um, if he can start off that well and actually finish that well, he's an MVP candidate once again. Not once again. Just he's an MVP candidate like he was at the beginning of the season. But I think in the Super Bowl it is going to be to me the Bills versus the Seahawks, and I've been saying this. I think it comes down to experience over skill in the Super Bowl. Even though the GOAT himself, Tom Brady, said it all matters about skill in the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter about experience. He did say that himself, but I still have to go with experience over skill. I go with the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
All right. I actually agree with you on the Bills going to the Super Bowl next year. I mean, you know this because I already told you, but I think the Chiefs they'll take a slight step back next year. They'll still be a solid team, obviously with Mahomes, but they're going to lose some key players, and I do think they're probably going to lose in the division or conference championship game. And I'm going to check the Bills going to the Super Bowl. I think they can make some good key acquisitions in the offseason, build around that defense, give Josh Allen some better offensive line play, maybe a better running back. I think they can do that. They can take the next step, go to the Super Bowl. And in the NFC, I don't think there's a real true number one Super Bowl contender in that conference. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers going back to the Super Bowl. I think that Tom Brady and Bruce Arians are going to retire, and probably Rob Gronkowski is going to retire like all together next year after they win the Super Bowl. I think they're going to lose it this year, win the NFC again next year, and win the Super Bowl. Then all retire after beating the Bills. That's my
That just
prediction.
sounds like a very like sob story right there. Like just not like obviously just not an emotional story, but like just a happy story. Just like we all win the Super Bowl and we're all gonna retire now. So
Yep.
I could definitely see that happening next year as well. But I do think the Seahawks end up going to the Super Bowl. Anyways, three more questions to go. We're 50 minutes in, so this is longer than I expected, but it is still not the longest, not too long like I did tell you. Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. Now, I think this one's easy for me. I do believe it's Devontae Smith because I personally think Devontae Smith did help Mac Jones so much last year. And Jamar Chase obviously didn't play last year. He had an outstanding season his sophomore year. But I don't know if he would have repeated that same success just with how bad that LSU team was this year. I don't think he would have repeated the same success. So if he did play, I still would say Devontae Smith is better.
This one's super close for me. I do think, I mean, Jamar Chase, what he did in his first season as a starter was just crazy. But then, yeah, losing that year of experience, I think you have to go with Devontae Smith, especially with how good of a route runner he's shown to be. He just gets open. I mean, he's just a playmaker. I think they both could be top 10 picks in the draft, which is kind of crazy for a wide receiver. But yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I'm going to take Devontae Smith by a slight edge.
Yeah. Okay. I could see it being close, but I think it's gonna be. I don't think it is close for me. Now, when it comes to NFL experience, I do think it will be close, but just personally, I have to go with Smith just because Chase might not have repeated that same success. Two questions to go. We're gonna talk about the Stafford deal and what it means. Now, to me, it personally means this just gives us a bigger reason to call the NFC West the best division in the NFL. Now that could be topped next year by the AFC West if the Broncos do get Deshaun Watson, like it's been rumored. But I do think that the NFC West, dude, Kareem Jackson's been recruiting him highly, and you know they're like best friends, so it's definitely possible. But
Not going to.
um,
Sorry, Chase.
if it doesn't happen, yes, the NFC West does take it, obviously. But that just gives us it just gives us another reason to say that division's the best in the league. Now, when it comes to the NFC North, when it comes to the Lions, it gives us another reason to call the Lions a poverty franchise.
Yep.
Um, that you can't roll with Goff as a starting quarterback, specifically when he's been known as a system quarterback with Sean McVay. Now, he will prove to us if he is a system quarterback next year, but I think he is. I think the Lions will very much struggle next year. So, what does a Stafford deal mean to you?
Well, as a Cardinals fan, I don't like it.
I knew
I
I
think,
knew you were gonna say immediately as a Cardinals fan.
yep. I mean, you said it. The NFC West is the toughest division in football. I think the Cardinals could win 10 games next year and probably still finish last place. So the Rams are going all out. Some people think that they gave up too much to get Stafford, and I could definitely see that. They gave up 2 first-round picks, but if the Rams, if their plan goes to success and they're a Super Bowl contender, those are going to be late for anyway. So I
Right,
definitely think,
yeah. That's the
yeah,
thing. Like, I do think that it was too much to get for Stafford, but if the Rams, like, that's honestly a smart thing for the Rams because if you think about it, if they end up like getting far in the playoffs next year with Stafford, that's like the 25th, 26th, 27th overall pick.
yeah,
And then even in 2023, they might barely miss the playoffs. That's still pick like 16, 17, 18. So, or no, it would be like 15, no, yeah, it would be like 15, 16. So, so it's just, I don't know. It's just, I think the Lions kind of just screwed themselves over with this one, trading it into the Rams. But it's just I don't know why. Like, you didn't need Jared Goff. Why would you trade for him? You could have drafted one. You might still draft one. But I think Jared Goff is just was just a system quarterback with Sean McVay, and the Lions system is not going to treat him well enough.
Yeah,
Now, finally, with our final question, I'm still sort of undecided on this one. So, where does Allen Robinson land? We get a lot of Chicago questions simply just because we're from Chicago pretty much. So, everyone around us are Bears fans, so we're getting a bunch of Bears questions. I do have a video coming soon about Mitchell Trubisky, though. Be on the lookout for that. But it's just I think personally to me it's gonna be Allen Robinson going to the team that I believe will treat him best, get him most involved in the system. He's gonna want a better quarterback. Obviously, if he was unhappy with Mitchell Trubisky, if they couldn't get that tandem going, he's gonna want to go to a team where he's gonna have a good tandem and he's going to just play very well. And I think that team might be the Ravens because you do have he's going to easily get in there and easily become the number one wide receiver unless Marquise Brown has a breakout season. And in which he does, Allen Robinson should be more happy because they're going to make a deeper run in the playoffs, which is something sadly Robinson couldn't do in his time with Chicago. So I think the Ravens are going to be the spot where he lands.
yeah, I agree. I think the Ravens are definitely a possibility. I think some other possibilities. I think maybe the Colts. He could go there. They do need a new number one receiver. Michael Pittman's good, but I don't know if he's the number one receiver yet. So I think if he likes whoever they're starting at quarterback next year, he might go there. He might go to the Washington football team. I don't see it happening, but they could use another great receiver next to Terry McLaurin. So depends on who they get at quarterback next year as well. I think the Dolphins are an option. I honestly I don't think Devontae Parker's a number one receiver. So I do think if they can get Allen Robinson, Devontae Parker's going to break out as a wide receiver too, and that gives Tua or whoever their quarterback is next year two great options. So yeah, I think Ravens, Colts, Washington football team, and Dolphins are the four main choices. Unless he goes to like a Super Bowl contender like the Packers or something. I don't know. That could happen too.
It could. I don't know. I don't know if the Packers will want him though. So just we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was our Q&A. That's technically the end of the episode, but we're going to talk about the preview for the next couple episodes. I hope you guys are ready. Full season reactions. So, how this is going to work is in the next episode, we are going to talk about our Super Bowl reactions. That's going to be a part of the full season reactions. But after we're done talking about the Super Bowl reactions, we're going to get into like overachieving teams, underachieving teams, overrated teams, underrated teams, and how these teams like could lead into next. Like, what teams do we think are going to take those slots next year? Um, then, and that's only gonna be the first episode because it's already gonna be long due to the Super Bowl reactions, so we're not gonna do too much in the first episode. But in the second episode, we're gonna talk about we're gonna dive into each team, talk about how they did in 2020, what do they need to do to succeed in 2021, and how will they do in 2021. I think that episode's gonna be the better one, or in my opinion, just the more fun one to me. But
Mhm.
that's how the next episodes will go. I think it's going to be very fun. I hope Andrew agrees with me here. I think these are probably going to be the better episodes that we will have heading into number 4, number 5. So, um, it's been a very nice, it's very fun so far. We now enter the final game of the 2020 NFL season. It's sad that it has to go, but it we're gonna have to wait 9 months until the next season. But hey, we're still gonna run this. Obviously, this is gonna be our next episode, gonna be the bigger ones, and I have episode 6 and 7 planned as well. Some podcasts are gonna be just plain out fun topics like what player is gonna get traded from each team, or what team or like which team is gonna or what's the biggest gap each team needs to fill. Just like fun topics. Obviously, we're gonna start to have to recap some news just because that like off season is just filled with news. So we're gonna go through that, and podcast's gonna be fun moving on. So that was the end of this one though. We're nearing an hour of film time here. Obviously, with the technical difficulty in the first 2 minutes of not recording anything, it's not going to turn out to be an hour long, but we're on an hour of film here. But anyways, that was the third episode of the podcast. I hope you guys did enjoy. Thank you guys for the support once again. Please leave a like and subscribe. If you do like this, we will obviously be posting more of these. Should be one every week. Sunday, 9 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.